Part 12. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi Y. Chapter 111. And the medicine she gave Avalon is real. It would be a waste for someone with such ability to test me. Shi Lian narrowed his eyes, paused, and then said, rather than testing me, I think she is more likely to come to this nursing home or the Li family. Li Chao's deteriorating condition was just revealed a few days ago. We still haven't found out who did it. Her appearance was too coincidental. Feman nodded in agreement, and said a little worriedly, then what should we do? What if the old fox takes action? Shi Lian glanced at him, his gentle voice was filled with ruthlessness, and his eyes were a little scarlet. Keep her. Before my brother is cured, we have to keep her even if we break up with the old fox. The worst we can do is follow Li Er. Don't act too early. Feman geared up excitedly, okay, I have long disliked that old fox. He dared to let brother Shi Lian do this and that. He stayed here for a year as a child. If it weren't for brother Shi Kun, he would still have to stay here. In the nursing home, I've stopped staying here a long time ago. This fluttering star is as stinky as the greedy wolf star. Shi Lian glanced at him, the scarlet in his eyes surged, and he didn't know if he was talking to Feman or to himself. Wait a minute, as long as Shi Kun gets better, I will definitely take him with him. I want you to go to a place with good mountains and good water and not so much stench. Feman nodded solemnly, yes, I believe in brother Shi Lian. In fact, it doesn't matter where he goes. The important thing is brother Shi Lian. When he was abducted from the garbage star, he escaped from the human traffickers' starship and ended up living on this shaken star. It was brother Shi Lian who took him in. Brother Shi Lian is the heir to the Shi family. He is gentle, kind, elegant, and polite. He does not dislike his birth at all. Instead, he supports his life and helps him study. He is a truly gentle and kind-hearted young master. If those people from the Shi family hadn't killed them all, how could brother Shi Lian be like this? Even the face that was once the favorite of the Yao Guangxing girl had to be replaced by surgery. In fact, the person who wants to leave the stinky place the most is probably brother Shi Lian instead of him. But these are wounds that brother Shi Lian doesn't want to touch. He won't talk about them, so his desire to go to good mountains and waters and leave the stinking place is just a dream. This is the top floor of the sanatorium. It is also the core area of the sanatorium, a restricted area that ordinary people cannot enter. The most powerful person in charge on this shaking light star lives here, that is, the star owner of the shaking light star and the head of the Li family, Li Chao. Li Chao was sitting on the luxurious sofa. He had a very well-maintained face. He looked like a mature, gentle, and handsome uncle in his 30s. Due to the recent deterioration of his body, he looked slightly swollen. There was also a patch of blue and black under his eyes. If you look closely, you could see that you can see the ambition and unwillingness hidden in his eyes. He raised a hand and put it on the armrest of the sofa embroidered with complicated and gorgeous patterns. He rubbed his temples tiredly, then raised his eyelids and looked indifferently at the person in front of him. He asked in a deep voice, that person on the Star Network, how's the news? The housekeeper standing respectfully opposite him bowed slightly and reported, before I can suppress it, someone behind the scenes is pushing this news and criticizing the law enforcement on our shaking star. Some people also sent out several. We have already investigated the news about the unfair treatment of the star people. In addition to Master Avalon, there are several forces hiding behind it. We don't have enough evidence about who it is. The Sun family on Madam's side is also involved. Got a kick? Li Chao sneered with an angry look on his face. Tisk, that old guy from the Sun family is a loser. As long as the third prince still carries the crime, the Sun family will never be able to turn around. Don't pay attention to him. That old guy is smart and won't do it now. He who dares to make a big deal out of things just dares to fish in troubled waters, and he will naturally calm down when others calm down. As for the other forces, they are none other than the Shen family of the fourth prince and the Feng family behind His Royal Highness. If our Li family's shaking star succeeds in rising to the star, it will be the most disadvantageous to them, so it is most likely to hinder my shaking star. That's them. In addition, it is also possible that the Duke's Shui family and the Sheng family, whose limelight has been suppressed by us, are also possible. They say that the Sheng family has a great reputation, but if you can climb to the position of the first family, your means will be brighter. Humph, it's just he's just a better hypocrite than me. Li Chao looked a little gloomy and said angrily. Ever since his condition worsened, the darkness in his heart could not help but be exposed from time to time, and those who served him were used to it. After venting, his emotion slowly recovered. Then he frowned and turned on his optical brain. After looking at the public opinion in the comment area, he turned his attention to the little girl wearing a mask in the video. Originally, the person on the news, even if she was one of the initiators of the news, Li Chao, would not pay much attention. At most, he would only order his subordinates to deal with them secretly. But when he heard about the patients being cured in the nursing home, he had to start paying attention to this little girl. He also has congested tendons and reduced powers, which is very similar to Avalon's physical condition. That's why he would force people to come to the sanatorium and not let him leave, regardless of Avalon's reputation as a mecha master. Warren was the best guinea pig to test the medicine on his behalf. But just over half an hour ago, someone reported that his little white mouse was cured by a little girl wearing a mask with a pill called Vitality Pill. This made Li Chao a little excited. The medicine he was waiting for was finally appeared, but after the excitement came caution. First, as Li Rongyang analyzed, her appearance was too coincidental. Secondly, except for Avalon, who fully recovered, the other two patients she took over did not fully recover. The data was not enough to prove that she really had the ability to treat blocked tendons. In addition, the old man Avalon was always against him, and he was determined not to do a full body examination, so they were unable to determine whether he had truly recovered. Therefore, Li Chao suspected that this was a fake relationship between the little girl and Avalon. The drugs teamed up to create a trap for him. Therefore, after receiving the news, Li Chao was not in a hurry to pick someone up to help him treat him. So how should he arrange for the little girl? He tapped his fingers on the back of the sofa, a dim light flashed in his eyes, and ordered, "Let someone steal her pills and test them to see if the ingredients can be analyzed to see if they are fake. As for people, don't move yet, wait until she cures the other two patients before taking a look. Tomorrow's charity auction will give her a ticket, and let the young master deliver it in person. Also, don't let the second young master get close to her," Li Chao added with a sinister expression. The housekeeper responded quickly, and then respectfully stepped back to do his work. The top floor of the huge nursing home quickly returned to silence. The only two waiters in the room hardly dared to vent their anger loudly and went about their work cautiously. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lan Shan Lu Zy. Chapter 112. It was dark at night, in the living room of a luxurious villa in the most expensive villa area of Shaking Light Star. Feng Yuya's eyes were fixed on the note in Guang's mind that he had changed from little pitiful agreement partner to a woman who gets more and more temperamental the more she gets used to it, and her handsome eyebrows knitted into a ball. The passing adjutant Zhuang Shu glanced through the crack in the door and sighed in his heart. It is difficult for a man to have a wife. A top male god like his boss who is evil, handsome, and rich is just a man who is in love with his wife. Just a sleepy ordinary man. Looking at this expression that is more solemn and serious than when working as a commanding officer, you know that your parent's journey to find his wife in Shaking Light Star may not go smoothly. But there was nothing he could do to help. After all, he was just a single guy. At most, he could only provide a magic weapon for pleasing his wife that gathered a few married male colleagues around him, kneeling. Kneeling on the durian, kneeling on the prickly pear, kneeling on the kneeling melon, as long as it has long thorns and can bleed to gain sympathy, all can be done. Now that Muyuan's star has reopened, it is not difficult to buy some prickly fruits. As long as his parents are willing to be cruel, Zhuangshu feels that he still has a high chance of gaining his wife's forgiveness. After all, he has a greater advantage than the other married men around him, and that is his face, which can be said to be the most beautiful man in the empire. He is lazy and noble, evil and seductive, as long as he does not deliberately cool down and act cool. And if he closes that mouth that shouldn't be long, he will be the most handsome male god who is popular among all ages and is popular in the entire empire. In his opinion, none of the cold and powerful Marshal Huo, the gentle and elegant fourth Prince Jin Yurun, the charming and elegant young master Sheng Donghuai, and the upstart hero Li Heo who ranked among the top 5 in the empire's list of top male gods were not as good looking as his parents. As long as a woman is a woman, she cannot escape the face of her parents. My wife is a woman, so logically speaking, this face should also work well. Zhuangshu wandered back and forth outside the door, stroking his chin and wondering whether he should go in and recommend this surefire weapon to please his wife to his superiors. Fen Yuyu, who didn't know that he had been arranged again and was recommended to kneel on durians, was anxiously waiting for Baikin Chun's reply. Today he found a time after dinner and before going to bed to finally think about him. The news was sent out all day long. He sorted out his needs, finally put aside the causes and consequences, gritted his teeth and sent out a cooperation message. The one-time price is 5 million, in exchange for you coming to Muyuan Star to act as husband and wife and help me act for a few days. Bai Qian-chun, who was making balls in the kitchen with the extra medicinal ingredients given by the hospital, lowered her eyes and said coldly, 5 million. 4 hours ago, she might have been excited, but now. Bai Qian-chun calculated the money she earned this afternoon, including 60 million star coins from selling vitality pills. Later, the sensible old man in Avalon sent a message as soon as she returned to the room, asking for each of her and Cao Jiajia. The surprise fee was 100 million, and the right to use the portrait was 100 million. In this way, she earned 260 million star coins from Avalon alone. In addition, she can also receive 500 red badges in exchange for a 50 cubic meter space button worth 150 million and a mecha design commitment from Avalon. Calculating the time, it only took her an hour, and the actual treatment time was only a few minutes. And Fen Yuyu, a bitch, actually wanted to exchange 5 million for a few days of her precious time. Haha, now she has, regardless of this small pocket money, she is now a rich little woman with a bulging wallet. Avalon just sent a message telling her that he had just been chatting in the rooms of several patients. Many patients were interested in buying vitality pills from her with their own money, so he might as well act with Fen Yuyu at that time. The more time you spend making balls, the more you will earn. Although this trip to the fluctuating star sanatorium was involved in 2 major conspiracies, looking at the increasing amount of the account, it was still worth it. But thinking of the 2 big conspiracies, Bai Qian-chun paused as she originally wanted to decisively refuse. Speaking of which, Fen Yuyu can be considered a big supporter. The Feng family where Fen Yuyu lives, like the Bai family where her body is located, belong to one of the 4 great dukes of the Huayao Empire. However, unlike the Bai family, Fen Yuyu is, although the family also has a small number of direct branches, there are many side branches, and each one of them works conscientiously to serve the heirs of the direct branch. The first 2 generations of heads of the Feng family were also shrewd and capable people. The family style was extremely upright and there were no illegitimate children. The position of the heir was always as stable as a mountain without excessive internal consumption. After several generations of hard work and the support of the Third Army, although the Feng family is not the most prosperous among the many families in the empire, it is still one of the giant families with huge energy and cannot be messed with. And the heir of this generation fell on Fenyu. He held the gold source star in his hand, and the incidental attribute of awakening was rare. With the help of the rare minerals of the gold source star, the wealth of the Feng family and the Feng group surged dozens of times. Overwhelming countless groups and consortiums, it became the largest group company in the empire's wealth list. Fenyu himself also has extremely strong skills and keen business acumen. Under his general control, the Feng group has become increasingly prosperous in the past 2 years, and its momentum is unstoppable. When wealth reaches a certain level, the right to speak will gradually increase, so Fenyu has also gained a certain status in the imperial aristocratic circle in the past 2 years. What's more, his mother and the current emperor are sisters, and he and the imperial prince Liu Yuchen are cousins. And because of Sheng Baining's relationship, the relationship between Fenyu and the Sheng family is somewhat unbreakable. Therefore, even though Feng Hongwei, Fenyu's grandfather, is still in charge of the Feng family, in comparison, Fenyu, the confirmed heir to the Feng family, carries more weight. Based on this analysis, it seems good to choose Fenyu, who is currently unstoppable, as a backer. If she reveals the identity of Fenyu's legal spouse, the people behind the 2 major conspiracies should not dare to touch her easily. At least she would have no problem leaving Sheikh Lightstar safely and without interference. But in this case, what she will face after her identity is exposed is the crisis of fighting with those women who covet Fenyu. Compared with those women who quarrel and make troubles over a man who hides their secrets, she also felt aggrieved that she couldn't really kill them, so she still preferred to fight with people directly. If you feel bad about someone, break his arms, break his legs, wipe his throat, won't he feel bad? So she bounced back and forth several times between agreeing and not agreeing. Bai Qianchun decided not to agree yet. The conspiracy against her hadn't come yet. She couldn't scare herself. If she made the wrong decision, she would have to do it. Regret it? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 113. Fenyu's eyes almost popped out of his head when he saw the word quit on the reply message interface. She actually refused to act with him for 5 million for a few days. She signed a fake marriage agreement before and was only given 100,000 star coins every month. Why did she agree so readily? Fenyu didn't understand, and Fenyu was unwilling to give in. He gritted his teeth and thought about what he had learned from his cousin about her preferences, so he quickly came to the conclusion, if she doesn't do it, he must be the one who paid her back. Not enough. So Fenyu added more information and increased the price, 8 million for it? Will you do it with 10 million? Would you do it with 20 million? Hey, are you, a woman, reading my news, 200 million, 200 million, do you want to do it? If you don't do it, I will pull you down. Fenyu sat on the sofa calmly, changing from his usual lazy state, with a straight back and a focused expression. A pair of charming peach blossom eyes stared fiercely at the chat interface on the optical computer screen, spraying fire. He had made dozens of quotes, but that woman didn't even give him a reply. Haha, no one had ever dared to ignore him like this. Fenyu's teeth were clenching here, while Bai Qianchun finally used up all the medicinal materials to make the low-end versions of Vitality Pill and Restoration Pill. After filling the pills, she rubbed the sore back of her neck, and then casually turned on the computer to check. It was a critical moment when she was rolling the pills and she couldn't be distracted, so she could only let the message sound keep clicking there. Drip, drip, drip. She murmured in her heart that it was Ye Yang and Leng Xiaoao who sent the message. It was her newly accepted disciple Mizu. This short, chubby drug addict had just entered the door of making meatballs. He must have many questions to ask her. According to his temperament, he would definitely not be able to wait for her to return. Or was it Avalon who had chatted with a few other patients to introduce her to the business? Not to mention, this old man is quite enthusiastic. He wants to help other patients when he is well. Also, although this old man has a bad temper, he is surprisingly popular among the patients. In addition to these three suspects, there is Master Cao Ting who helped her in the kitchen today. She wanted to dig people to Muyuan planet, so she also exchanged communications. She guessed all the people who could contact her. These people had actually sent messages during the period just now, but the most popular one was Fen Yuyu. The number above his name almost jumped to 50. On the contrary, Bai Qianchun was a little surprised. In the year since the fake marriage began, the total number of exchanges between the two of them was probably not that much. Seeing that it was so rare, Bai Qianchun opened his messages first, and saw the last message, 200 million. Bai Qianchun changed his carelessness, and a strong light burst out from his dark eyes. But she didn't rush, but made some calculations in her mind first. By acting with Fen Yuyu for a few days, you can get a huge fortune of 200 million yuan. You can also rely on the title of MRS Feng and Fen Yuyu's background to avoid the calculations of the people behind the two major conspiracies. Ideally, in the future, we might be able to use the Feng family's transport ship to transport fruits and vegetables on Muyuan planet, and it might even be possible without spending any money. She had inquired with the star citizens of Muyuan planet before. There were not many transport ships passing by Muyuan planet. Among them, the Feng family's transport ships bound for Jin Yuan star to carry ores were the most numerous. Most of their purchases usually depended on the Feng family's transport ships. When Muyuan planet develops in the future, it will no longer be able to open the door and let everyone come in and pick it themselves. Therefore, the fruits and vegetables on Muyuan planet must be transported out before they can be sold. In this case, transport ships are very critical. If you hold the title of Young Lady of the Feng family, you can get a transport ship for free. This long-term sustainable development strategy is not a loss in any way. There is another way. Even if you don't get free service, as the Young Lady of the Feng family, you have many advantages over Muyuan Star Master, a stranger who is not in an alliance. Madame Feng wants to transport fruits and vegetables from Muyuan planet to a starship. Can you refuse without giving face? As the owner of Muyuan Star, MRS Feng doesn't have that much money to pay for transportation. Can you give me a discount? He who refuses to give is not a good husband. Wouldn't it be that the illusion of sweet love between husband and wife that Fen Yuyu created with just one mouth has been exposed? So if you think about it carefully, the title of MRS Feng is sometimes quite useful. After Bai Qianchun thought about it carefully, she no longer objected to showing her face in acting. And compared with these benefits, pulling hair and playing tricks with those delicate ladies is nothing. No matter how ruthless it is, the people behind the two major conspiracies who have a hand on her head are ruthless. Those women will do it anyway. But if she really pisses her off, learn about the various poisons for facial abscesses. Summary: in this drama, which only talks about money and interests but not about feelings, she is not at a loss, but Fen Yuyu is at a loss. But since she agreed today, even if Fen Yuyu doesn't like her and wants to end the marriage agreement and kick her off as MRS Feng, we have to see if she agrees. As for how long to maintain the agreement, she must at least wait until she develops Muyuan Seeing and brings over the troops that originally belonged to the Bai family before she can consider terminating the agreement. Under the huge pressure of need, Bai Qianchun simply didn't want to be a human being. Her eyes sparkled, and she didn't give Fen Yuyu a chance, and decisively sent him a message: 200 million was sold, and the money will be transferred directly to my account. We only support payment first and then acting after the money arrives. I'll meet you at Jupiter in about 3 days. As for her being unable to get out of the shaking light star in 3 days, Fen Yuyu had no choice but to fish her out. She doesn't want to expose her trump card just yet. With Fen Yuyu's thigh, why should she not use it? It's going to show up anyway. It doesn't matter if she uses MRS Feng's treatment, and she will use it more in the future. Fen Yuyu sneezed, he frowned, and rubbed his nose casually, and then eagerly clicked on the message to reply. After seeing her say the deal was done, the thin lips on his evil face curled up proudly. He just said that the woman would definitely not be able to escape his Starcoin offensive. But after seeing the 200 million yuan and the condition of paying first and acting later, the proud expression on his face froze for a moment. Suddenly realized that he must have been ripped off, right? Fen Yuyu, the president of Feng Group who has been in the shopping mall for many years, smells a hint of crisis. His eyes were fixed on the 200 million on the interface, and the rationality in his mind suddenly returned. What happened? Why did the price of hiring a woman to act in a movie for just a few days increase from a high of 5 million to a sky-high price of 200 million? What's even more outrageous is that he raised the price himself. This shouldn't be the case. Why is it that every time he meets that woman, he always suffers the consequences? He's not usually someone who does stupid things when his head gets hot, right? Could it be that the woman had cast a spell on him? But no matter what, can he go back on what he has said? Of course it's impossible. Question: why did you change your attitude so quickly and dare to face a woman and pull her hair? Bai Qian-chun, you don't understand, this is all about the charm of money. Fen Yuyu, I understand, my wife, you and I have no chance and it all depends on me spending money. 200 million is the most worthwhile thing in the world. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lan Shan Lu Zy. Chapter 114. In the end, the frustrated Fen Yuyu could only send a depressed message to Yao Wengxian, asking him to transfer 200 million to Bai Qian-chun's account. Yao Wengxian, who was rushing back from Tianyuxing. He called back with a message and asked bluntly, "Are you getting divorced? Are these 200 million yuan alimony?" Although 200 million is nothing to them, it is a huge amount of wealth to an ordinary girl's family. Therefore, other than this reason, Yao Wengxian really can't think of why Fen Yuyu suddenly made such a big deal. After all, as a well-known person, for someone who faked the inside story of the marriage agreement, he didn't think it was because Fen Yuyu was going to give his wife pocket money. As for the fantasy plot of suddenly having a dream about falling in love with my fake wife after marriage and spending crazy money on her, which is like a novel, he feels that it is absolutely impossible to happen to Fen Yuyu, who is better off looking at a beautiful woman than looking at himself in the mirror. Of narcissists. Fen Yuyu gave up the treatment and leaned back on the sofa, slumped on the back of the sofa like a boneless body. Hearing this, he lazily opened his eyelids and glanced at the person on the opposite side of the communication line. The people in the empire have been too troublesome recently. No, I have no plans to divorce within the next 2 years. I will consider it after my cousin takes that position. Yao Wengxian clicked his tongue, that's a long way off. Our emperor is now strong and strong. I heard that last month his powers were upgraded to another level. It's not a problem that he can live for another 200 years. When the crown prince succeeds, it's still early, bit. Fen Yuyu shrugged and said casually, then just wait another 200 years. Anyway, I don't like any of those women. Those who are not as good looking as me are much prettier than me. Yao Wengxian already knew very well that he didn't want to look in the mirror to see his own nature. He chuckled and didn't bother with him here. He changed the topic back, so what are you going to do with her 200 million? You can't do that, is it to help the weak? Fen Yuyu replied somewhat depressedly, no, I'll ask her to act in a scene. Yao Wengxian was shocked, I'll give you 200 million just for acting. Why don't you let me do such a good thing? As a general manager, My annual salary is only 200 million. Fenyu rolled her eyes at him and emphasized, it's the minimum salary. Okay, okay, no matter what kind of salary it is, I worked hard, shed blood and sweat to get it. You are still deducting my salary all day long. Now they are just cooperating with you to act for a few days. You just give me 200 million, are you out of your mind? Fenyu, who also suspected that his brain was broken. But he wants to save face, and he absolutely cannot admit it. So he righteously helped Bai Qianchun find a reason to explain, but this time she has to face not only friendly friends like the eldest sister, but also those difficult women. Although she has become bolder in front of me, but have you forgotten how skinny and pitiful she looked a year ago? She would have been frightened when she faced those women. The 200 million yuan was meant to encourage her and also be a comfort fee. Also, someone listened to my cousin's advice and kindly cooked me a big meal to celebrate my birthday, but I broke the appointment. I don't have to accept the offer, but I have to make up for the cost of buying groceries and cakes, so the two not much more than 100 million. Yao Wengxian. Do you believe this? Is this guy really going to play a novel where I fall in love with my fake wife after getting married? However, as a good brother for many years, Yao Wengxian, who knew that this guy would never fall in love with a human woman, finally ruled out this possibility and began to speculate on Fenyu's words. He has never met Miss Bai since he met her a year ago, and has never spoken a word to her, either in real life or through communication, so he really doesn't know much about Miss Bai. His only impression is even though she is weak, pitiful, and helpless, in order to appease her timid and fragile heart, she can barely bear the thought of giving her 200 million yuan. In short, 200 million is just a small thing for two people. After he smiled, he took the initiative to talk about it and stopped talking about it. Instead, he took the initiative to start another topic. You just arrived at Sheikh Lightstar today. Have you seen the video news of the little girl wearing a mask questioning the law enforcement of Sheikh Lightstar's top management? Fenyu changed his posture, stretched out his long legs, and crossed his legs comfortably. Then he snorted lazily from his nose, you know, I'm just here for that old fox from Yao Guangxing. Of course I'll pay attention to this game past. What do you want to do, take advantage of the opportunity to step on me, or help negotiate a deal with that old fox and get him to reveal the origin of Jinlaisha? It is indeed as Zhuangshu thought. Fenyu came to Yao Guangstar this time for a purpose. Under normal circumstances, it is impossible for him to take the initiative to come out of Yang Lord Star to participate in some charity auction in person at this time, but on October 1st, a few days ago, something happened to a transport ship belonging to the Feng family that came out of Jinyuan Star. According to the news, it was hijacked. However, after the transport ship escaped and was rescued, the most important cargo they transported this time, Jinlaisha, was silent. Lost. Master Zhao Xian, the empire's #1 mecha manufacturing master, proposed half a year ago that a large amount of golden thunder sand was needed to make a super mecha. Not long ago, it was confirmed that his conjecture had a 90% chance of success, and the SSS class super half of the mechas have been successfully produced, but Master Xian's team has insufficient research funds, and there is not enough golden thunder sand to ensure that the remaining half of the mechas can be completed. Therefore, Master Xian openly sought partners in the empire. On behalf of Fengshi Group and Jinyuanxing, Yao Wengxian stood out from the crowd of competitors and became Master Zuxin's partner with the strongest financial support and sufficient conditions of origin to guarantee Jinlaisha. The golden thunder sand on this transport ship was prepared for the other half of Master Xian's super mecha, but it disappeared at this moment. As it related to the super mecha, this matter became a big deal. Fenyu mobilized all his forces to track down the mastermind behind the hijacking of the transport ship. However, the mastermind has not been found yet, but he found a part of Jinlaisha first. Whereabouts? This part of the golden sand became an auction item at the charity auction on the Shaking Light Star. Therefore, it is essential to come to Shake Light Star to investigate. They can follow the clues and find the mastermind behind it. Yao Wengxian was comforting the injured people on the transport ship at that time, and he would definitely not be able to make it before the charity auction started. Feng Yuya couldn't trust anyone else, so he came over in person to take advantage of this opportunity to escape from the main star. He really couldn't stand the banquets where all the women gathered around him, and his eldest sister nudged him to bring his wife out to play with him every day. Haha, the eldest sister's love was too heavy for him and he couldn't bear it, so he could only slip away. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 115. Yao Wengxian shook his head. No, I want you to see the little girl wearing a mask. She is the ancient medical lady on the Sheng family starship. Do you remember it? Feng Yuya raised his eyebrows. My memory is not that bad, of course I remember, so. So you must still remember that I bought 3 vitality pills from her. Yao Wengxian's elegant face showed an excited look, and he kept talking. You know, these 3 vitality pills have a big effect. The 6th and 7th sons, the steward Wang Yi, and a large group of guards, they were all burned by one of the SSS class fire-type superpowers in the hijacked transport ship. Although their lives were saved, the burns outside could be recovered by lying in the recuperation cabin for a few more days and soaking in the holy pool. But the burned tendons in their bodies are not easy to heal. The doctor concluded that their tendons were burnt and atrophied. Some of the better ones can slowly recover through cultivation, but the 6th and 7th elders still have Wang Yi in charge. Those were the ones who rushed to the front and were the most seriously injured. Their damaged tendons had been burned to a terrible extent, and it would be difficult to recover even if they took another 10 to 8 years, so I thought of that at that time. 3 vitality pills. Lao Lu, Lao Qi, and Wang Yuguan took the lead and volunteered to serve as white mice to test the medicine. Guess what happened? Feng Yuya put down his long legs, straightened up, relaxed the frown on his handsome face, and raised the corners of his mouth slightly. Looking at your beaming look, I can't help guessing, is there hope for recovery of their muscles and veins? Yao Wengxian slapped his thigh, his eyes narrowed with excitement. Not only is there hope for recovery, it has been regrown and repaired. Although the muscles and veins of the 3 of them still look a bit slender and fragile, the doctor has checked them. After a period of cultivation, you will be back to the same state as before. If you take another pill, you will be 100% able to immediately return to the same state as before or even better. Thinking about it this way, I spent $150 million. It's totally worth it. After finishing speaking, Yao Wengxian looked at Feng Yuya with a slightly stunned look on his face with bright eyes, and laughed in his heart. He was also surprised when he saw this result before. Then he said sincerely, so I was very surprised when I saw the ancient medical lady on the news video. I thought I was going to find her on the Muyuan planet, but I didn't expect that she is now on the Shaking Light Star. You are also on the Shaking Light Star now. First come first, go to her, ask her if you can wholesale it, and get a wholesale price or a team purchase price. Although it's 50 million per piece, it doesn't cost us much to buy 1 or 2, but buying large quantities still requires a lot of star coins. And this batch of vitality pills can be used by your Feng family's 3rd Legion. Aren't there many outstanding young warriors in the Legion who have blocked abilities and have problems with their muscles and veins? Let them try it too. Since the vitality pills can connecting the tendons and connecting the meridians, repairing the meridians, and what the ancient doctor said about dredging the meridians, it will definitely be no problem. Feng Yuya's seductive peach blossom eyes flashed, and she had to say that her heart was moved. As if he thought of something, his sexy thin lips curled up, and he said in a lazy and playful voice, you should go directly to Cao Ting to handle this matter. He must be more interested in this. Master Cao Ting, Yao Wengxian raised his eyebrows in surprise. Did he also come to Shaking Star? Ye Fengyuyu chuckled. He has some pharmaceutical research on the treatment and repair of superpower cores. Previously, Yao Guangxing sent an official invitation letter, inviting him to go to the sanatorium to treat the patients in the hospital. I guess there must be something fishy in this sanatorium. The patients they admit are all suffering from abnormal cores and blocked tendons. One level of information we found said that this place is for Li Heun, the second young master of the Li family who also has blocked tendons. Made specially. But in fact, I received a message before that the old fox in the Li family also had congested tendons, which was more serious than Li Heun's condition. His powers were stagnant and declining rapidly. If this problem is not solved, I'm afraid he won't be able to survive long. So I ask Cao Ting to investigate whether this news is true or false. If the old fox of the Li family is really going to die, then there will be a lot of excitement on this shaking light star. Fengyuyu had a playful smile on his face, but it was a pity that Yao Wengxian's focus was not here at the moment. He nodded perfunctorily. Yeah, I understand. So, what does this have to do with the ancient medical lady? Is it difficult? Could it be that the old fox from the Li family also invited Miss Ancient Medicine to the sanatorium and asked her to treat her? Yao Wengxian mentioned in his mind that he had a sense of crisis that the shocking treasure he had set his sights on was discovered by others. Isn't Miss Ancient Doctor's vitality pill a holy product for treating blocked tendons and veins? If the old fox found out about this, he would definitely invite her to treat him. In this case, the old fox would not be able to die, and they would not be able to watch the show anymore, and they would not be able to be fishermen anymore. Fengyuyu's smile paused. Ah, it seems so. Then his face became solemn, and he first denied Yao Wengxian's words. The old fox didn't invite her. The old fox probably didn't know about the ancient doctor's vitality pill. She should have thrown herself into the bar. Fengyuyu's face became speechless. The girl with Guyi in the news video is named Cao Jiajia, and she is Cao Ting's granddaughter. Guyi met her at the Yao Guangstar airport, and then they went on charity missions together. This video came about after meeting Master Avalon in Central Park. After they left Central Park, they entered the sanatorium as Cao Ting's assistants in the afternoon. After entering the sanatorium, Cao Ting has not sent any news. The old fox has very strict control over the sanatorium where he lives. In order to prevent the person who was placed in the sanatorium from being exposed, the meeting time is at 12 o'clock in the evening. The time is not up yet. I don't know the specific information in the nursing home. When he didn't know about the effect of the vitality pill before, Fengyuyu didn't think much about it. After all, according to Cao Ting's temperament, he wouldn't report the situation and progress to him often. But now that he knew it, he contacted the patients with similar symptoms in the nursing home. The next step is a bang. Could it be that something happened in the sanatorium and that the ancient doctor had caused trouble inside? Fengyuyu frowned and quickly arranged for someone to investigate. Yao Wengxian also understood the seriousness of the matter, and tacitly hung up the communication and contacted Cao Ting. In the end, it only rang twice before Cao Ting's communication was connected. Yao Wengxian looked at the dark-faced man opposite him, with several locks of hair on his forehead being burned, and a series of question marks appeared on his forehead. But if the communication can be connected, then there shouldn't be any big problems. Yao Wengxian breathed a sigh of relief and sent a message to Fengyuyu. Then he looked at the black man Cao Ting opposite him, twitching the corner of his mouth and showing an expression that was hard to explain. Master Cao Ting, what's wrong with your face? It's so late at night. Making a charcoal facial mask. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lan Shan Lu Zy. Chapter 116. Cao Ting. The whites of his eyes rolled up on his expressionless black face, and he said in an indifferent tone with a hint of urging, "I'm making a new drug, what do you want from me?" Yao Wengxian coughed lightly, smiled and touched his nose, and then became serious. "I just came to ask you something. Do you know the little girl wearing a mask who went to the nursing home with your eldest granddaughter to be your assistant this afternoon? Did she show anything different today?" Cao Ting's clear eyes were staring straight at him, and she asked with a bit of inquiry, "Do you know that she can make medicine to treat the problems of people with superpowers?" Two words came to Yao Wengxian's mind at that time: "It's over." It seems that the ancient doctor lady has already revealed her hand in it, otherwise Cao Ting, a drug addict who has no ears to hear what is happening outside the window, would have no way to know about it. He wiped his face and asked with a bit of solemnity, "What did she do inside?" "Master Cao Ting, please tell me from beginning to end. There is a problem in the sanatorium. You haven't been cut off from the outside world yet. Communication does not mean that it is safe. The old fox in the Li family is a hypocrite, greedy, cruel. He will definitely take all the interests in his hands, let alone those that have already been delivered to his mouth, so if Miss Ancient Medicine is really she has shown her ability, I'm afraid." He didn't finish his words, but even though Cao Ting had rarely been involved in these dark disputes, he understood the meaning. A pair of handsome eyebrows on his charcoal face that almost blended into the color of his face were frowned. He moved his eyes away and fell on his eldest granddaughter in the kitchen, who was still humming and happily washing herbs. He shouted lightly, "Gia Gia, tell the guy opposite you what the little sister you brought did today." After a pause, he added, "There's no need to hide it." Cao Gia immediately understood that it was the matter of receiving 200 million yuan just now. Her bent waist suddenly straightened up, and her delicate face, which was stained with a few drops of water due to the cleaning herbs, also turned around, her eyes bright and cheerful, and she said, "Hey, okay, Grandpa." She first picked up a few fresh herbs that she had washed and put them aside, then took a towel and washed her hands clean, and then she came over with a happy face and began to talk endlessly about what happened today to Yao Wengxian opposite. What kind of boss drew his sword to help and caught the hand of someone who dared to molest her? What is it like to scatter beans and become an army? With a wave of your hand, you pull up a large area of plants, looking majestic like a warrior. In less than half a day, you successfully got 200 red badges, which can be exchanged for 20 tails of speeding cars. That arrogant old man with a bad temper turned out to be a planner. He directed and acted in a play, and then turned around and was conquered by the boss. After taking a vitality pill, the arrogant old man showed his dog-licking face. "Good guy, it seems that this girl has been holding it in for a whole day and finally found someone to share it with, so her little mouth started talking excitedly from the beginning." Yao Wengxian felt that this girl was a bit of a storyteller. What she told was cadenced, the plot was vivid and ups and downs, and it included daily life and climaxes. Yao Wengxian, who was still a little anxious at first, listened with interest, so he didn't have the nerve to interrupt her and listened from beginning to end. After hearing what she said, the boss showed his power and took 6 pills to save the seriously ill handsome man whose superpower core was broken into sieves. 3 needles subdued a strong man who looked like a bear and prepared to fight again tomorrow. After the treatment, Yao Wengxian breathed a long sigh of relief. It seems that things haven't come to the worst yet. The cautious and suspicious old fox of the Li family may be suspecting that there is a scam here. Maybe it was because of the news about Master Avalon jumping up and down and causing trouble that the old fox was frightened. But just as he said to Cao Ting just now, the old fox of the Li family is a greedy superior and will never let go of a piece of fat, not to mention the fat that can save countless people with powers, so even if that person tonight Miss Gu doctor is still safe and sound. When all the patients in the sanatorium recover tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, Miss Gu doctor will no longer be able to hide her abilities. Yao Wengxian hung up the call with a heavy heart and immediately contacted Feng Yuyu. Coincidentally, Feng Yuyu also learned about the situation from the people he inserted, and he even knew more than Yao Wengxian. Because the person he placed was a waiter on the top floor of the sanatorium, and he happened to hear all the arrangements made by Li Chao. It was similar to what Yao Wengxian had guessed. Li Chao, the old fox, really suspected that there was a scam, so he didn't take action yet, but people in the sanatorium couldn't escape him. Palm of hand. Yao Wengxian was speechless and exclaimed, "When did you place people among the cronies of that old fox Li Chao? I heard that the people on the top floor of the sanatorium were carefully selected by Li Chao and have been brainwashed and trained since they were young. The probability of betrayal is extremely slim." Who knew that as soon as these words came out, Feng Yuyu's evil face did not show a proud expression. Instead, he tugged at the corners of his lips and said, "My unreliable biological father did it." After the bloody civil strife that took place on the main planet of the Empire, he disappeared together with the children of several families in the Empire. His mother was so sad that she fell seriously ill at that time, and then his father's love brain became violent and perverted. For the sake of the peace of the Empire, he could not fight openly, but secretly he started a business of poaching people everywhere. He cast a wide net to win over the elderly and children, and many people were snooping on the inside information of various families to look for clues. The waiter on the top floor of the Li family was a corner that his father had dug out while casting a wide net. Later, after he was recognized, his father placed the position of heir to the Feng family on him. These people who had spread a wide net and placed them in various places in various families were also handed over to him, and his father, on the other hand, he has returned to his former self of a wealthy and idle person who has no idea about love. What surprised him was that the people his father had cast a wide net were quite loyal. At least until now, he had not discovered that any of them were double agents, and the information he gave them was accurate. At first, Feng Yuyu, who had never seen his own father look serious, was puzzled. It was not until later that he heard about his father's great achievements from his elders. It was said that during the years when he disappeared, his father was on the main planet. He is also a capable person who can change everything. He smiles and idles all day long and looks like a playboy, but if anyone dares to stretch his claws towards the Feng family, he will cut off the person's hand and force him to be kicked out of the main star, and the whole family will be exiled. At first, those people didn't realize who was helping the Feng family. Later, more and more people coveted the Feng family but were dealt with, and they realized that this Feng family dude was smiling on the surface, but secretly he was a real person. Fox, the fate of these people was all his fault. The order has been changed back. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 117. But even if Feng Yuyu had heard about these things, it would be difficult for Feng Yuyu to understand that in reality, he would often tease him childishly with a smile, make mistakes in front of his mother, and then be pinched and screamed as unreliable. His father and the opponent of the Feng family would change their expressions after hearing this. Smiling foxes overlap together. Therefore, Feng Yuyu's feelings towards this biological father are very complicated. As soon as he saw his expression, Yao Wengxian, a good brother who knew 90% of Feng Yuyu's affairs, understood. He did not go any further and quietly changed the subject. "Then what do you think about saving the ancient doctor, madam? Shaking Light Star is still the territory of the old fox from the Li family, and we don't have many manpower." Yao Wengxian had a sullen face, really worried about this. Feng Yuyu's charming peach blossom eyes narrowed slightly, but she glanced at him with a smile, and then lazily leaned back on the sofa. "Don't panic, the ancient doctor lady can't die, it's the old fox who's in trouble. If we can't die, someone will be more anxious than us." Yao Wengxian's eyes suddenly lit up. "You mean Li Haiyun, the second young master of the Li family?" Fen Yuya glanced at his good brother with admiration and raised his chin proudly. Well, I just received a message from Li Heu. He invited me to have a drink in the auction box tomorrow. Yao Wengxian looked at him meaningfully. Are you so anxious? Fen Yuyu snorted. Don't worry, he should have received the news about the nursing home. While the old fox is sick, the fangs he has hidden for many years are exposed. If he wants to take them back, he can't take them back. That old fox Li Chao must die. Then the two looked at each other and smiled. If you want to deal with the old fox of the Li family on the shaking light star, you have to rely on the Li family's own people. Internal disintegration is the best way. After hanging up the call, Fen Yuyu squinted his eyes and looked in the direction of the door, shouting angrily, "What are you doing sneaking around outside? Do you think I'm blind and can't see?" Zhuangshu had the embarrassment of being caught on his face, then opened the door and walked in. Standing in front of him with his back straight, he said dryly, "Didn't I see you were on communication, sir, so I didn't come in to disturb you." Fen Yuyu leaned on the back of the sofa, raised his delicate and perfectly contoured chin slightly, looked up at him, snorted softly to dismiss the matter, and then asked, "Is there anything urgent to report?" "From the Legion's side I remember everything has been arranged." "It's not about the Legion." Zhuangshu shook his head, then he took a deep breath, with a trace of weird excitement on his upright face and said, "Sir, I want to recommend a surefire magic weapon to please your wife. If you are married, the man has agreed to use it, and if the sir uses it, he may be able to take his wife back to the main star with him this time." To please my wife. Fen Yuyu's straight and slender legs were shaken off, and her peach blossom eyes widened like a bolt from the blue. "Do you think I need that thing?" Zhuangshu scratched his head, thinking that his parents didn't believe it, so he continued to sell it seriously. "Sir, this is really effective. Not only the married men around me said it was very effective, but I also checked the star network, and the support rate was 100%. 90.99, the data perfectly proves its usefulness." Fen Yuyu's face darkened at that time, and he roared, "Get out of here, I don't need this kind of thing." MMMP. When did Fen Yuyu need the stuff that those stupid men summed up? Haha, all the votes must have been cast by some short and poor people. A gifted stock like him, the top male god in the empire, still needs to learn this plant something. Just point your finger and your wife will change her mind on her own. Fen Yuyu grinned at his teeth. That is, this is not his real wife, otherwise he would have to show this boy the charm of the top male god in the empire. Zhuangshu, who was kicked out of the door, also shook his head and sighed. "Hey, no, the attitude of the officer is not good. He has no introspective attitude after irritating his wife. It seems that he wants to take the officer's wife back this time, and he is in doubt." Early the next morning, Cao Jiajia came to Baikin Chun's room chirping like a flock of birds flying outside the nursing home. "Wow, your breakfast is so rich." As soon as she entered the room, she saw a table filled with a variety of dishes, and her mouth watered. There were xiaolong bao, shrimp dumplings, chaos, fried dough sticks, pancakes, milk, and sandwiches. "Just like last night's dinner, you can eat whatever you like." Bai Qianchun sat back at the table, holding the shrimp dumplings with her chopsticks for a moment, looking at her with a raised eyebrow and a smile. "Why, isn't your breakfast good?" When Cao Jiajia raised her head like this, she saw Bai Qianchun's face right in front of her. At that time, her eyes couldn't move, and they were all glued to Bai Qianchun's face. "Suck, sniff, the boss is so good looking," she subconsciously replied with obsessed eyes. "Soy milk, fried dough sticks, buns, glutinous rice chicken, not too bad." Bai Qianchun didn't seem to notice her look, and asked with a smile, "Then do you want to eat more?" "I want it." Cao Jiajia was not reserved. She nodded cheerfully and pulled up a chair to sit across from Bai Qianchun. She said sincerely, "I think I can still eat with such a beautiful face like yours, Boss, eat a few more plates of dumplings. This girl didn't brag at all. She actually glanced at Baikin Chun's face from time to time and stuffed dumplings into her mouth one after another, emptying 2 large plates of dumplings and feeding her belly into a fat ball. Then he hiccuped and stopped. Bai Qian Chun looked at her funny. Can you still stand up? Cao Gia stood up with difficulty holding the chair, trying her best to smile. Of course. The dumplings made in the nursing home are so delicious. I haven't eaten such delicious dumplings since I was a child, so I couldn't hold back for a while. However, boss, your face is more delicious. Seeing that her eyes were starting to sparkle again, Bai Qian Chun reluctantly put on the mask to seal her eating face, otherwise she was really afraid that the girl would strangle herself to death. Cao Gia sighed regretfully, and the eyes were finally removed from Baikin Chun's face, and then she couldn't wait to ask, my uncle has already gone to Shikun's ward. Boss, are you going to treat Shikun now? Well, the medicine is ready and the treatment can begin. And if you are in good spirits in the morning, it will be more effective to treat hypnotized patients. He, let's go quickly. Cao Gia rubbed her hands and said excitedly. Then she followed Bai Qian Chun and murmured as she walked, and told her excitedly, last night my uncle and I tried to make your magical pills in the kitchen, but my uncle fried the pot and made him whole. His face was completely blown up, and some people even said he looked like he was making a charcoal facial mask. Ha ha ha, luckily it wasn't very powerful and didn't blow up my grandpa's face, otherwise he looked like the only one he could marry. My wife's advantages are gone. Later. Fen Yu, who was kicked out of the room, rubbed his hands and looked at Zhuangshu with hope. That magic weapon you mentioned before that is 99.99% surefire to please your wife, take it out quickly. Come out, it's an emergency and you need it for first aid. The author has something to say. I'm sorry, I'm not in good health today. I've been resting for a long time and haven't adjusted. I can only update 2 chapters. You don't have to wait today. Today's update is over with this chapter. Everyone, go to bed early, good night. I changed it back and changed it back, then I will delete the digression from the previous chapter to avoid misunderstanding that the chapter is reversed. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 118. Bai Qian Chun. Little girl, why do I feel that you are not worried at all, but you are almost overflowing with schadenfreude? Behind her, Cao Ting appeared at some unknown time, looking at the round and round back of her head with faint eyes. Hey, where did the cool breeze come from? It made her neck feel chilly. Cao Gia subconsciously touched her neck, turned her head and looked back, and saw an expressionless face that looked like a dead person. She was so frightened that her hair stood on end, and she took 3 steps back. After he stood firm, he said sadly, Grandpa, why are you walking like a ghost behind your back without making any sound? You are so scary that you almost scared your eldest granddaughter and me to death. Cao Ting raised her eyelids and gave her a cold look. I see that you girl is not timid at all. You are not afraid of being caught for speaking ill of people behind their backs. Cao Gia opened her eyes with a guilty conscience, smiled coquettishly, and lowered her voice and muttered, I worried about you, the older leftover man, who hasn't found grandma yet. Bai Qian Chun looked at the 2 people who could not tell they were grandfather and grandson with great interest. He intervened and rescued Cao Gia. Master Cao Ting's face does look darker than yesterday, there is still some slight dryness and a few small burns. Do you need to take 2 beauty pills and whitening pills? The beauty pill can perfectly repair the damaged barrier on the face, adjust the facial muscle contour, and reduce sagging, wrinkles, and other aspects of the face. Problem: let your face move closer to the perfect proportion that suits you best. 1 pill can last for a year. There are also whitening pills, which can make people's skin white from the inside out. It not only has an effect on the face, but also can whiten the skin all over the body. It can make people feel like they have changed their skin. Master Cao Ting is also very good at it. Suitable for use, one pill is effective for 1 year. Bai Qianchun looked at Cao Ting with bright eyes. How about it, does Master Cao Ting need 2 pills? She brought many kinds of pills from Wuyuan planet just to make some money by selling them and then buy more materials to build Wuyuan planet. Who knew that she didn't think of promoting other pills because she made money too fast yesterday? So today's promotion must be promoted. As a girl, Cao Jia, although she is not as refined as those aristocratic ladies who are proud of their beauty, girls always love beautiful people. After hearing about the effects of beauty pills and whitening pills, her mouth almost watered. She looked over with bright eyes, rubbed her hands and asked excitedly, "How many star coins do I need to buy one? Yesterday, I received such a large amount of compensation and I don't know how to spend it." Bai Qianchun thought for a moment and said, "The price is the same, 10,000 per pill." Cao Jia immediately nodded her head quickly, "Buy, I want to buy, give me 10 pills of each." Of course, you should buy such a good thing first because the things produced by the big guys must be high-quality products. She had a hunch that the beauty pill and whitening pill would definitely be more popular than the vitality pill in the future. Girls who love beauty will blow it up, and men who love beauty also deserve one. He, she also has a roommate who is worried about her black skin all day long. If he brings it back to her to eat, she will definitely kneel down in excitement and call daddy. So the 2 girls completed the transaction at the door of ward number 20, transferring the money with one hand and handing the small wooden box with the other. In the past, when the porcelain bottles were used up on Wuyuan planet, they were packed in wooden boxes. Although the porcelain bottles were not as perfect as sealing the medicinal properties, they also had a certain effect in preventing the loss of medicinal properties. There would be no problem if they were left for 2 or 3 months. After Cao Jia got the small wooden box, she couldn't wait to stuff 2 pills into her mouth. Then she raised her face and looked at Bai Qianchun and Cao Ting excitedly. She asked with bright eyes, "How about it? I become beautiful and white yet?" Cao Ting, who is obsessed with medicine, had a straight face. She looked at Cao Jia's face very carefully. Her expression was cold and her brows were furrowed. It felt like there was something there, but it seemed there wasn't. Bai Qianchun came over and patted her shoulder in a funny way. "The properties of these 2 pills are to moisturize things and change slowly and silently. You can see a certain effect of the whitening pills tomorrow. As for the beauty pills, you have to wait at least a week. Changes little by little, and you can only see subtle changes when you look at your face every day, so if you want to see the effect, you can take a photo first and compare it with a week later." "Okay, I'll listen to you." After Cao Jia finished taking the photo, she happily pulled Bai Qianchun and continued to ask, "How white can the whitening pills be? It won't be so white that it will glow, right?" "Well, this depends on each person's genes and physique. For example, if you have hereditary stubborn dark skin, you can only get as white as an ordinary person after eating 1 pill. If you are already quite white, just eat 1 grain can be as white as a peeled egg from the inside out. As for luminescence, I think it can do so under sunlight." Cao Jia's eyes widened. "If you are so amazing, then you are just like a goddess. There is a senior in our college named Xinfei. Because of her translucent and glowing skin, she was able to overpower all the beauties and become the #1 goddess. Where's the throne? After taking this whitening pill, won't I be able to have the same skin as a goddess?" Cao Ting was surprised when she heard this and asked a research question, "Will I still tan after taking whitening pills?" "It's a little bit." Then Bai Qianchun began to analyze for them what ingredients in the whitening pills could achieve this effect. BA is a pile of professional knowledge. Cao Ting, the pharmacy master, had a serious face and listened carefully, nodding in agreement from time to time. Cao Gia is a pharmacy student and has been around Cao Ting since she was a child. She is very familiar with medicinal herbs and can understand Bai Qian Chun's analysis. She looks like she has learned what she has learned. Only Feman, who was in the ward and planned to come out to greet him, had a confused face. What the hell, what kind of grass is Tianxinko? Why has he never heard of it? And isn't that morning glory thing poisonous? This can also be used to make whitening pills. Aren't you afraid of poisoning people? Feman looked at them in confusion, shock. He scratched his head and felt aggrieved. After all, he had read with the support of Brother Shi Lian. Why did he feel like an illiterate now? Fortunately, Li Rongyang and Avalon who came with him came over and saved him in time. Miss Ancient Doctor, have you finished treating me? Li Rongyang's eyes were a little green and black, but his energy was very good, and the gentle smile on his face seemed to be more real. Bai Qianchun stopped talking and turned to look in the direction the two were walking in. Not yet, we just arrived. Then she subconsciously raised her eyes and glanced at the few obvious white hairs on Li Rongyang's head. He was obviously a very energetic man in his prime, but these few white hairs gave him a sense of vicissitudes. Bai Qianchun, thinking about his great sales career, he coughed slightly, looked at him with a smile and asked, Dean Li, do you need a black hair pill? Li Rongyang's smile faltered slightly. Ufa pill. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lan Shan Lu Zy. Chapter 119. However, Feman, a scumbag who had been listening for a long time, immediately understood its effectiveness from the three words Wufawan and quickly winked at Li Rongyang. Brother Shi Lian, promise her quickly. He has long been distressed by the few white hairs on Brother Shi Lian's head that grew out of overthinking. He wants Brother Shi Lian to dye them, but he doesn't want to. Now that there is such a good thing as Wufa pill, how can Brother Shi Lian miss it? Li Rongyang received his look, and the smile on his lips resumed. Of course, it would be a great honor for me to try the magical pill from the ancient medical lady. Bai Qianchun glanced at him with a smile. A sensible person speaks well. Avalon also touched his hair and said happily, give me one too, I have gray hair too. When someone bought it, she was overjoyed and immediately agreed, yes, I have them all. After the two of them took Wufa pills, the effect was much more immediate than the whitening pills and beauty pills. Li Rongyang's few white hairs turned back to black hairs within a few seconds, which was much more miraculous than magic. The sense of vicissitudes of life receded, making him feel younger and energetic. Avalon's changes are hard to see. Although the little old man looks thin and wears a white sweatshirt that has not changed for thousands of years, his hair has to be dyed once a year. He must keep his black hair to prove that he is not old yet and can still do it. A firm determination to continue researching and developing mechas for another 100 years. Although he couldn't tell whether his Wufa pills were effective or not, he knew after taking a look at Li Rongyang. The little old man was very generous and immediately wanted to buy all the Wufa pills, saying that he could take one and throw it away. 1 grain. Bai Qianchun didn't care how extravagantly the customers used it, as long as it could be sold. She immediately agreed to him with a smile and gave him all the remaining 8 pills she brought out, freeing up space for her. After Avalon bought the Wufa pills, he thought of the patients he had chatted about last night who were eagerly waiting for treatment. He asked directly without hesitation, little girl, how was what we talked about last night? When do you plan to start helping? Let my fellow patients take a look and sell them vitality pills. Bai Qianchun paused for a moment, but before she could speak, Li Rongyang's eyes flashed and he suggested calmly, how about scheduling it at night? Our Yeoguang Star is very busy, and many stores are offering discounts during the charity event. There are goods for sale, so Miss Ancient Medicine might as well go shopping. As for the patients in the sanatorium, they are not on the verge of death, so there is no rush. Avalon, who was not dealing with him, suddenly became unhappy and glared at him angrily. What do you mean, kid, are you going against me? Li Rongyang was not annoyed and smiled gently. Master Avalon, that's not what I meant. It's just a reasonable suggestion. Bai Qianchun looked at the smile on his face and asked tentatively, can I go out? A smile appeared in Li Rongyang's eyes, and he said meaningfully, of course, our sanatorium does not restrict the freedom of the ancient medical lady, but now there are many people entering the Yeoguang Star, and the crowds are mixed. The ancient medical lady is paying attention outside. Be safe, you can call patrol guards at any time if necessary. From today on, for the sake of public security and safety on Yeoguang Star, our Star Master has arranged for more patrol guards. A dark halo flashed across Bai Qianchun's eyes. Is this man telling her that the Lord of Fluctuating Light Star has noticed her? Are the patrol guards actually surveillance? So why should he remind himself? Bai Qianchun took a deep look at him, but didn't see anything from his smiling face, so she could only give up, and then replied casually, thank you for the dean's suggestion. I do have some things that I need to buy, but can you redeem the space token to me before this? Li Rongyang's eyes flashed and his thin lips pursed slightly, of course. The angry Avalon suddenly deflated. The little girl had said so, how could he retaliate? This guy Li Rongyang has a kind face but a dark heart. He is really not a good person. Li Rongyang, who was stared at by him, did not have any dissatisfaction. He was very strong inside. He even smiled and took out a black invitation letter from the space button. By the way, there is also this one that our eldest young master of the Li family entrusted me to give to you, invitation letter to the charity auction. I heard that there are several items in this auction that are rare medicinal materials. If the ancient medicine lady is interested, you can go and have a look. The time is scheduled for 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The location is the Fluctuating Star auction next to the sanatorium. Okay. Bai Qianchun's dark eyes suddenly lit up. She originally planned to enrich the variety of Mu Yuanxing's medicinal materials, and this was exactly what she wanted. She smiled and reached out to take the invitation. I will definitely go. Then she turned her hand and put the invitation into the big pocket of her clothes, and said with a smile, I have prepared the medicine Shi-kun needs. According to yesterday's agreement, I will treat him first before going out. Li Rongyang's eyes revealed a touch of excitement, but he quickly suppressed it. He took a deep look at Bai Qianchun, and his feelings for this ancient medical lady rose to another level. He would not waste his last night in vain. That decision, and that suggestion just now. If we delay for another day, Li Heun will probably take action. After a few people walked in, Shi-kun was awake. The 1.9-meter strong man was lying on the hospital bed with some restraint. When he saw them coming in, he had a bald head with some green stubble, and he was rugged and handsome. A pair of white teeth appeared on his face, and he smiled heartily at them. I heard Feman said that he has found someone to treat my mania. Is it a little girl named Guyi? Because of the sleeping pills, Shi-kun, who had a good night's sleep last night, seemed to be in high spirits today. His bright eyes swept over the group of them, and he completely lost the terrifying appearance of yesterday's manic episode. This was because of his I have never been in better shape in half a year. As a result, Li Rongyang became more confident in Bai Qianchun's medical skills. The one who felt the deeper experience was Shi-kun himself. He had a very comfortable sleep last night. He had not slept so well since he was injured on the battlefield and retired. He had nightmares every day, either being chased by beasts or being forced to fight. It is really difficult to survive in the endless forest. So after he locked onto Bai Qianchun, who was wearing a mask, he looked at her with extremely hot eyes. Even if this little girl couldn't treat him well, he was very grateful to her for the 2 sleeping pills last night. Bai Qianchun was stared at by him without even moving an eyebrow. She continued to walk calmly to his bed while answering his question, "I am an ancient doctor. Your mania is not a big problem. Just listen to it later, just take my command and we will fight quickly." Shi Kun looked shocked and confused when he heard this. Isn't it a big problem? But the former pharmacists and doctors said that he had a big problem and that he would be sent to the crematorium in a few days, but this little girl actually said that there was no big problem? And how fast can a quick victory be achieved? Sorry guys, I haven't been feeling well these past 2 days, so I've cut down on updates. Today is also the second update. I decided not to worry about taking a rest these days. I'll do 2 updates for now, otherwise I won't be able to write even if I sit still. How many? Thank you for your tolerance. I became the richest man in the world by making meatballs. Author, Lanshan Luzi. Chapter 120. Bai Qianchun told him with practical actions that a quick victory was really fast. After taking a small pill that was about the size of a thumb and melting in the mouth, he closed his eyes and opened them again. Shi Kun immediately felt that his whole body was different. His eyes and ears were clear, he felt refreshed, and he had a good sleep like last night. After that, he was full of energy and felt a different kind of pleasure, as if the hideous beast hidden in his body that tempted him to become manic and out of control at any time had been completely removed from his body. He clenched his fists in excitement, stared at the slender girl wearing a mask in front of him with wide eyes, and showed an excited expression as if he had seen a god. How did you do it, God? It's so amazing. I just closed my eyes. After closing my eyes, I heard the sound of banging on the table in my ears, and then I felt that the nightmare that had been urging and confusing me in my body disappeared. This should mean that I am cured, ha ha ha. I am cured. He bumped his dry thick lips up and down and said tremblingly with joy, I thought my mania would never be cured. Ah, no, 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 Feman said, Misku doctor, you said this is not mania, but hypnosis. The idiot who treated me before couldn't even find out the cause of the disease, no wonder he couldn't cure me. Feman and Li Rongyang also nodded in agreement. Those people were indeed idiots. Then the 2 of them looked straight at the little girl sitting in front of the hospital bed, and hopes appeared in their hearts. Bai Qianchun's long and thick eyelashes fluttered slightly. She raised her eyes to look at Shi Kun's face with excited muscles in revelry. She put her hand on his broad shoulders and pushed him back to the bed. Don't worry, I'll hypnotize you. It's solved. The problem of your superpower nuclear disorder has not been solved yet. Oh, Shi Kun immediately suppressed his excitement. The 1.9-meter tall bear-like man stretched his legs, put his hands on both sides of his body, lay down obediently, and looked at Bai Qianchun eagerly, waiting for her next move. Bai Qianchun glanced at him and took his arm. The wood-type superpower rushed straight towards Shi Kun's superpower core with a domineering force. Because he had explored the road yesterday, the journey was smooth today and it only took less time than yesterday. He found his superpower core in half the time and dove into it. Without the influence of hypnosis, the red cells inside seemed less active than before. Compared with yesterday, although his superpower core was chaotic and turbulent, it was not so violent that it would explode at any time. Bai Qianchun quickly found the red thread cell in this chaos. Sure enough, it looked much weaker and not as cunning as yesterday. Bai Qianchun was only dodged by it for 3 seconds. Chisumi caught it. Bai Qianchun's slightly drooped eyelashes trembled, she pursed her lips and showed a serious look on her face. Next, how to get this wisp of red silk cells out of Shi Kun's superpower core is the biggest difficulty. This is because Shi Kun's superpower core cannot be messed with randomly. It must be hit with one hit. In her mind, she eliminated several other plans she had planned last night, and finally only one was left, which was to use force directly. We have just tested it. In the fully sealed superpower core, only superpower elements can come in and out. However, this red silk cell creature cannot penetrate from the superpower core like wood elements, and it has grown into a kind of superpower core. For an element to be a very large creature, the only way to take it out is to break the power core. She glanced at Shikun and said in a deep voice, "Be patient." Then, with Shikun's blank nod, she exerted all her strength and used her wood power to directly smash a small hole in Shikun's power core and forcefully pull out the strand of red silk cells. Shikun's face suddenly changed and he was breathing heavily, but he could wait until he really felt the pain before a repair pill was quickly inserted into him. The effect of the repair pill was quickly formed, and the wood-type superpowers had not had time to start. Whatever escaped from the superpower core was blocked by a burst of energy. Shikun is a wood-type superpower. The pure wood element that escapes is different from Jianzanlin's fire element, which burns his veins, so the pain Shikun feels is not intense. After the superpower core is blocked and repaired, at that moment, his frown relaxed. Feman rushed towards him nervously, but he quickly braked and only dared to stop behind Bai Qianchun and asked anxiously, "What's wrong?" Shikun was also confused. He opened his big eyes and said blankly, "It was like being hit with a small awl. It hurt a little, but it's okay now." "Oh, that's good." Feman and Li Rongyang, whose bodies were tense subconsciously, slowly breathed a sigh of relief, but they were still worried and turned their attention to Bai Qianchun. At this moment, Bai Qianchun put a small porcelain bottle into his pocket. Just now, when they focused all their attention on Shikun, who had changed his expression, she took out 2 porcelain bottles from her pocket using a blind method, but it made them think that she only took out one. One is filled with repair pills, and the other is an empty bottle, used to contain the red blood cells she got out. She dragged the red silk cells out along the veins as quickly as possible while others didn't notice her, pulled into Shikun's left wrist, and then cut the red silk cells from his wrist with one cut. Pull it out from this gap and put it into a porcelain bottle. Things were going very smoothly. She was 90% sure that no one else noticed her abnormal behavior. Shikun was probably the only one who could realize that something was wrong. The small wound on his wrist was also a flaw. So Bai Qianchun gave him another healing pill with a small effect, which could quickly repair physical injuries. After feeling the small wound under his finger healed, Bai Qianchun slowly took his hand back and said, "Okay, the 2 problems on his body have been treated, and the effect of the repair pill continues. If you want to do a checkup, if you want to confirm, you have to wait until 3 hours later." Shikun was immersed in the joy of regaining his composure and automatically operating to absorb the wood element. He seemed completely unaware of the strangeness just now. Cao Jiajia, who was standing against the wall, straightened her body like a spring and asked happily, "Is it cured now? Is it really all cured?" Okay. Bai Qianchun stood up and gave up his seat to Feman and Li Rongyang, who were waiting nearby. Then he glanced at Cao Jiajia and invited, "I want to go shopping, will you go?" "Ah." Cao Jiajia glanced at the old man who had abandoned her and rushed to the hospital bed. He was staring at Shikun with a serious expression on his face. He nodded without hesitation, "Go, let's go together. We made so much money yesterday, star coins, I also want to go shopping and buy something." So the 2 girls put the excited chatter in the ward behind them, exchanged space buttons on the first floor of the sanatorium, and went straight to the Guangxin Commercial Center district to happily shop for goods.